the philosophy of teaching. Now, this is kind of a fill in the blank. I couldn't always come up with questions. But anyway, number one, you as teacher must assume responsibility to make sure something takes place. Let's do a mind reading contest. What takes place? Learning is what I'm looking for. When teachers teach 5-year-olds, they do everything they can to make the kids learn and get involved. But somehow when you get up in the higher adults, the teacher doesn't do that anymore, and it becomes more just a boring lecture. No, so you do whatever it takes to be sure people learn. And I'm suggesting one of the best ways to do that is to serve them a diet of really good questions and get them involved in a discussion. If nobody learns, you haven't taught. Okay, number 2, teach to meet needs in people's lives. Your lesson, and for that matter, the Bible, does not have a need to be taught. It is the people present who have needs. So, as Skiva has alluded to, we are teaching for life change. If you can surface a felt need in people's lives, they're going to pay more attention to what you say. Imagine you're on a flight between New York and Philly, and it's a commuter flight, and the same business people fly it every day, and the stewardess gets up there. She starts going about the float under the seat and how to do the seat belt and the air mask dropping down. I guarantee you, nobody's paying her a lick of attention. They're reading the newspaper and doing their phones. Nobody's paying attention. But if they were at 10,000 feet and the pilot comes on and says, we've lost an engine, and we might have to ditch in the Atlantic Ocean, please pay attention to the stewardess as she tells you about our safety procedures. Now all of a sudden, everybody's going to be looking at her. Well, so what happened? The felt need was surfaced. When we're talking about meeting people's needs, when you're teaching through these questions and stuff, hoping the scriptures alone will do it, but if you can find a way to surface a felt need, it's going to be more effective. And that's where Jace was talking about more, if you have an introduction that does it, to funnel their thinking. Because you ought to know where this is headed. You ought to know your application before you even start. So design it that way so they want to know how to scratch this itch that you're going to point out to them.
Your point there is, though, that you need to create a felt need.
Keep that always in mind. Yeah, the goal is not to get through your material. So create a felt need, but certainly figure out what the application is on that passage, and that's what you're driving toward. So number 3, you must have a clear objective in mind when teaching. And that objective should be based on the point of the passage that you're teaching to help you focus. Always be able to boil your lesson down to an irreducible minimum. Be able to state in a sentence or two the main point of the biblical text being studied. Now, if you did have PowerPoints, that might be where that comes in handy. But you don't want such a cloud of information out there that people don't quite get the point of it. Be sure there is a point. What's the point that's being said here? What's the application that derives from that point? Every paragraph will have a main point. So that's why I said if you can at least cover one paragraph of an epistle, that's good. Now, Ezra 7:10, I thought was a good example for teachers. Ezra had set his heart to study the law of the Lord and to do it and to teach his statutes and rules in Israel. So the lesson for us, obviously, we're studying it, but we need to do it ourselves, live it, and teach it. So it's got to be part of you.
I think it's also in order there on purpose, right? You can't just teach it after you've studied it. You have to be doing it, applying the teaching to or the study to your own life before you get up and teach it. I think that's the power behind it. One of the things I appreciate about some of the teachings is the I've been working through, or we've been working through, or in our life we've seen this. So
good. Integrity. Number 5, 1 Timothy 1:3-6 talks about teaching. We can learn about teaching from that. So someone read 1 Timothy 1:3-6 for us.
The aim of our charge is love that issues from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. Certain persons, by swerving from those, have wandered away in vain discussions.
So it's just a few observations about teaching from that passage. What should be the aim of your teaching? Love that comes from a pure heart.
Create a sincere faith.
And a sincere faith, that's right. You don't do that, he says, you wander into vain discussion. Titus 2:1, teach what accords with sound doctrine. That's right. And Ephesians 4:5 says, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ. So it just keeps things in perspective.